Allow me to take you on a journey as we explore the work and successes of BT Industrial, a multidisciplinary manufacturing company in the engineering as well as health sectors based in Germiston, Gauteng. They are one of the black industrialists in South Africa. Let us hear their story and just how they have emerged as recognizable industrialists amidst the various challenges that may have come their way.
Khomotso, pleasure to catch up with you again, my brother. And I'm impressed that, you're still keeping the passion right there at the top. But tell me a little bit more about your business journey before I discuss specifics with you.
My business journey?
Yeah, or professional journey.
Every business person you are likely to interview will tell you they started when they were kids. I used to sell sweets.
Yeah.
That's how I started as a kid back in school. Went to school, university, joined the corporate sector. About 15 years ago, I decided to go out on my own. I started a consulting business. Our focus at the time was more around technology. We did well, grew that business, sold it, and then I refocused my energies to trying to look more at systemic problems that the developing world, which is where we are, where we could have the biggest impact. So I went deeper into engineering, where we were doing water management on mines. And at the time, we were procuring pipes and other durable goods. And myself and my team at the time, we got into a debate of saying, if we're going to be meaningfully impacting, should we be procuring?
Sure.
What if we actually made the products? So we had an intense debate on business strategy. I didn't want to do it. They wanted to. They won the debate, obviously. And we decided in 2018 to start producing pipes. And that's really where the story started.
And I actually found, at least the anecdote you told me about the pipe story, and we'll talk a little bit more about the inputs into how you manufacture those heavy-duty pipes that I saw. And you mentioned things about New Year's Eve, buying machines. So what was going on when you...
As I said, we had a hot debate. Do we produce or do we carry on buying? Eventually, the guys won. We decided we would produce. So we bought our first machine, I think somewhere around October, November. Procured it overseas. And New Year's Eve 2018, we had a chat about, if we're going to enter the space and be meaningful, we can't be small players. After that discussion, I went straight to the bank and I paid for the other big machine that we have on New Year's Eve. The machines arrived a few months later and we went into production.
So, and it was at this facility when you started?
At this facility. In fact, when I was making that purchase, we didn't have a facility. We found this facility in February 2019. And we had to then prep the facility and then bring the machinery in and commission the machinery. So,
and then the inputs into the manufacturing of those pipes and so on, how did you go about sourcing and all of that? And acquiring customers as well.
We were providing engineering services, so we had some insight into, who the customers were, but we had to build a new business. So we brought in a sales team to start building that sales capability. From a technical point of view, again, we're in the engineering field, so we knew, it's high density polyethylene. It's a byproduct of the petroleum refining process. So Sasol produces it. So we knew how to procure the inputs. But interestingly, when we started, we did a lot of overseas procurement. In the first couple of months, we procured a high quantity of polymers from overseas. We were buying from this American company. After a few months of trading with them, the group COO, it's a large company, billions of dollars, decided to come to South Africa to come and try see who these Africans were that were buying all of this product. They came here, walked around the facility, then took us out to dinner, had a few glasses of wine, and then the gentleman opens up. He'd been in the game for 25 years. He had never ever dealt with a person of color. And his assumption was that when he arrives here, he would find us potentially being the fronts.
Fronting, yeah.
Correct, and he was completely honest with what he was saying. So we found it completely hilarious, and we enjoyed the anecdote, we enjoyed the story. But this is part of the motivation for why we do what we do.
Yeah.
We are serious Afro optimists, and we wanted to be in the guts of industry. Sure. We wanted, the city of Rome, 1 million citizens 2,000 years ago, because fresh water was coming in and sewage was going out. So water is at the core of development.
Yeah.
So for us, pipes, had that kind of relevance in terms of where we found ourselves as a people.
Sure, and you use that story to motivate yourselves. I mean, the Rome story that you've just told me, right?
Yeah.
Which leads me to the next question. When COVID struck around the world and we were placed under restrictions and businesses were asked not to operate in certain sectors and so on, you saw it as an opportunity when everybody else saw it as a problem. How did you move or gravitate towards identifying the opportunity?
So remember my general stance. I'm a serious Afro-optimist, and I believe in strong sovereignty and independence as a people.
Yeah.
As Africans. When I saw the global crisis that was unfolding, where us in Africa did not have the equipment that we needed to manage the crisis, and we understood that the core of the problem at the time related to the filters inside PPE, we then said to ourselves, these filters are based on polypropylene. We know how to process polyethylene.
Yeah.
All of these things are just plastics.
Yeah.
We saw it as a technical challenge. It took us, I think we went into lockdown. A week later, we had cracked, at least at a scientific level, what needed to be done to process local polypropylene, to convert it into the medical filters that were needed at the time.
Sure.
We then went out and then hired additional chemical engineers to come and finalize the process for us. I think about 3 months after that, we were in industrial scale production of the medical filters. Now, here's the thing. During that time, these filters were selling at 3,000 Rand a kilo coming in from overseas. We were fully capable of doing this thing, or of producing this product at 300 Rand a kilo, if not less. So what it showed us is that if you don't control the means of production, if you don't have the know-how, the capability, you're going to be subservient to those who do.
So it was 10 times cheaper
Correct.
than the imported product.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I want to be clear. It was less of an opportunity, but more of a reaction of saying enough.
Yeah.
Africans can do it.
Well, I mean, but inspired, of course,
Correct,
by,
yes.
by that outlook.
Yeah.
So as you were telling me earlier, you said the early days of COVID, when everybody was rushing around, buying masks, importing and so on, you had a different way of thinking, but you call it reactive mode. How so? What happened?
Yeah, so we designed this filter, and on the back of designing the filter, we designed our own mask. We then found that the international markets...
This is the products that we've been running, and then this is how we are packaging them today.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Let me tell you. Thanks. So,
we found South African private sector companies that were interested in procuring our product, but we also became very successful with overseas companies. At that time, we had interests from all over the world, Germany, Sweden, Switzerland, the Americas, Mexico, across the continent. And we started making the product and selling it into those markets. And we managed to build our reputation up quite nicely with international companies, to such an extent that at the moment we are about to enter into an agreement to produce under license our product, but for them.
For other companies. But how did you get the word out to those foreign companies for them to start procuring from you?
So we've always focused on the science, the engineering, the technical excellence. And yes, we do market as well. In any case, our original high-density polyethylene business, we're also marketing across the continent, as well as in Asia. So we knew how to reach an international audience for our product. So we just leveraged on that. more than 50% of everything that we produce here goes outside the borders of South Africa.
Sure. And of course, I mean, one of the things you mentioned earlier was that the base product that goes into this
Yes.
was being imported for 3,000 rands, right? Per
kilo.
Per kilo. And when you were able to bring the price down to around 300 or
at that
less.
time, yeah, even less now.
Yes. And now the design and everything of the mask itself, is it again something that you came up with here?
Oh yes. So the overall dimensioning is standard.
Yes.
But how it all comes together, that's our unique IP.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this mask, for example, is fit tested and can be worn in in dangerous environments, high risk.
Did government come to the party at the time, procure from you? Because you know the controversies around the PPEs. How did you avoid being caught up in that? And of course, somebody might say, oh, are these the guys who were involved in the PPE controversies?
In my entire career, I've never earned even 1 cent from government.
Yeah.
I have never won a tender. I have never done anything
Yes.
with the public sector. So the answer is no.
But fortunately for yourselves,
Yes.
the private sector companies and other foreign companies realized the potential and appreciated
Supported us, yes.
appreciated the
Yeah.
quality that we were.
We've done a fair bit of work with the South African private healthcare
Yes.
sector. We've
Yes.
done a lot of work with one of the private hospital groups. We've done research work for them. We've done product development work for them as well. So I'd say we've done well in building our profile with the private sector.
But the story does not end here, right? I took when I was in your office there, I managed to take the syringe that you were talking so much about, and I want you to tell me the story how you move from the masks to the syringe and what's so unique about it.
Yeah, it's a lovely story. So exactly the crisis that we saw on PPE when vaccinations started, same story emerged.
Yes.
Poor quality syringes, poor quality needles, not just in SA but globally. It was a real crisis. If you look at some of what happened in the US, where people were inoculated with unsterile syringes. If you look at what happened in Japan, where because they were using the wrong syringe, they lost something like 12 million vaccine doses.
Yes.
So they thought they had enough vaccine, but because they were using the wrong syringe and wasting, they didn't have. So that had a major impact on logistics as well as their budgets for COVID inoculations. We designed an ultra low dead volume syringe that allows, that reduces waste
Yes.
in the syringe. So our syringe, basically you can get 7 doses out of a 5-dose vial because of the associated efficiency. So we patented the syringe, and once again we managed to get the interests of international companies that wanted to collaborate with us. We then later developed that syringe into a much more specialized product that can be used for flushing, for the management of catheters in hospital settings. And this takes me to the work that we've done with one of the private sector hospital groups. We basically showed that South Africa spends about 2 billion rand a year in the inefficient manner in which we do catheter flushing or flushing in general. And we've developed a set of protocols as well as syringes to reduce that cost by about 1 billion rand. So in the team, yes, we've got doctors, pathologists, scientists, you name all the
And
technical.
you have been able to secure the IP for this?
Of course, all of our work, our IP secure, trademarked, and where necessary, patented.
Yeah, and recently your company, through you, committed to expanding these operations, right, that have got to do with the medical sector. Tell me more about that commitment. What are you looking at going forward?
Yeah, so we've committed a considerable amount of money into expanding our medical production capability because we see, for example, with this product that we're doing for the management of flushes, the implications are big. We have technology that can save the healthcare sector in South Africa about 1 billion rand a year. And the idea is to take this to all the markets that are willing to listen to us. And that pledge that we've made, the investment that we made, is in support of that. Because obviously now we need to increase the number of scientists that we have, and so on and so forth. One of the ladies that brought the mask earlier on, she's our head of quality, for example. So we need to take people like her and then have more of them in order to support that initiative.
I was about to ask you about the employment practice. You know, where do you find the skills, the people? How do you go about recruiting them?
We've got all races in the company, but our split is about 99% black. We find them just like everybody else finds them. But one of the areas where it's very interesting is if you look at our lab technicians, all young black women, BSc degrees, and many of them didn't have any scientific experience prior to working for us. So many of these young ladies were in call centers or retail shops with degrees
with all
science,
those qualifications.
with all those qualifications. But we understand how women are treated in STEM as a general statement. We take those young ladies in, we train them up, and they run and manage our lab infrastructure. Just to re-emphasize, the lady who was here,
yes,
who gave me the mask, is our head of quality, also a lady. So we do not have particular difficulty finding people.
Yes.
So we do find them. The thing about the organizational, the thing about our people comes out of the culture. We are a very passionate, driven group of people, and we work hard and we apply ourselves meaningfully. So anybody who comes into this environment with that kind of mindset is likely to do well. But if you come with the wrong kind of mindset, you're not likely to do well. So whereas we don't obviously pay the highest salaries, but our people are highly sought after.
Yes.
Because they're extremely well trained. But we also have a very high retention rate because our people want to be here.
Now, what is your relationship with the government like? I mean, when you develop these things, the private sector, the private healthcare sector in South Africa is already interested in the work that you do, at least parts of it. And the public sector?
So all of this, the lights are kept on by private sector. The work that we do with the private sector. We have not done much commercial engagement on the public sector, largely because of how, the engagement model with public sector works. It's tender-based, and it becomes difficult to introduce new innovative products.
And there are issues there.
So you can imagine now we've developed this really wonderful product. How do you then get it into public sector?
Yes.
Do you do it through a tender? I don't know. So it's not an area that we've spent much time trying to unpack. We've rather focused on where we knew we could make things work in the way which we understand.
But you made a pledge at an investment conference that you're going to expand your operations and make investments of more than 250 million rands. I'm not sure of the exact figure. I'm wondering if the government is paying attention to what you are doing here and providing any other support in terms of expanding your market, your reach into foreign markets and that sort of thing.
So, I hear you, Tim. So, we would love to work with government. We would love for our people to give themselves the benefit of the work that we do, right? If we can help you save, we would love for that to be the case. I guess what I'm trying to characterize is we haven't cracked the model of working with government.
Yes.
So I think that's my
but I'm sure there's something that can be done. I'm asking this because it's not only your problem to grow the company. We know in South Africa we'd like to see South African companies grow, and would like to see more and more people employed, and of course the development of R&D and having intellectual property rights to some of the stuff that you're doing.
I guess maybe there's two big areas, right? If I look at the work that we do, our healthcare system can benefit. Absolutely, we would make a meaningful difference to the clinical outcomes of South Africans in the public healthcare system with some of the products that we've developed. So we would very much love to see that happening. But I suppose where we could get a lot of support as well is in getting outside markets for our products, assisting us with finding export market opportunities.
Sure.
I think that could be particularly meaningful. Also because our products are not your, I would call, base level commodity type products. They're much more specialized, which means that the sort of areas that you can go into with that kind of product, they're not that highly competed. So there's less competition even on international markets for those types of products. So I think there's an opportunity for us to collaborate with government as a means of increasing our export intensity.
The road ahead, what are you planning next? What are you going to do next?
Global domination. We're a scientific organization. I would love to see us develop IP, know-how. One of the goals that I set for myself when I founded the company was to have one major discovery or one major innovation year on year for the next 10 years. We're on year number 5, number 5 innovation. So perhaps, I was talking to the team earlier on, maybe we need to double that target. Let's introduce 2 new things for the next 5 years, and then let's support them properly. Because I think in the building of that know-how, that's how we're actually going to create the level of competition that we need. Let me put it this way. The South African economy is small as a general principle. So when you build a business, you have to have the international market in mind. You have to have an outside-looking orientation in order for you to get the kind of scale that you need to be truly competitive and truly meaningful. Now, in order to compete at that level, you have to build knowledge. So if we can bring in a sufficient pipeline of strong, solid innovations for the next 5 years, then it gives us a better chance of making it on the international stage in the future.
Well, there's currently an approach that black industrialists and industrialists generally should be developed in the country. What do you think the role of such people can be in taking our country forward, our economy forward?
There's absolutely nothing more important than that. If you look at big companies throughout the world, you will see, excluding the large, more recent technology businesses, the biggest companies in the world are all industrial. And those companies were built at a time at which their countries were developing. So core industries, power, petrochemicals, chemicals, core infrastructure, those types of industries. That's how you build a nation. Here's an interesting statistic for you. For the last 15 years, global demand for polyethylene has exceeded the global GDP growth and the global population growth. And that's because the polyethylene is one of the most important polymers that is used for just driving the growth of industry. So industrialists are critically important. I think, however, that the way industrialists should be supported is not just with funding. Funding is great, but funding is not the thing. The thing is commercial opportunity. You must understand that we talk about Elon Musk and SpaceX. His largest customer is NASA, the American government. So governments have a big role to play in creating meaningful commercial opportunities for industrialists. And dare I say, if you don't make those opportunities materialize, your vision of developing the industrialists will not be realized because they will not have a commercial outlet for their products. And by the way, if you're not selling to your government, who are you selling to, at least on a massive scale? And how truly competitive can you be in industry if you don't have large domestic customers? So the role of industrialists is critically important, but also the role of government with providing those commercial opportunities is equally important.
Well, I can tell that you're a very passionate person and obviously proud of what your organization is achieving with the people who work with you. Just tell me about the culture that you think is going to deliver the strategy or the vision that you have.
Yeah, so there's a couple of principles. So with the organization, respect is key. It's important. Respect for yourself and respect for others. Because if you respect yourself and you respect others, you're going to respect your work. And when you respect your work, it means you're reducing the number of mistakes that you make. Right? So your work, the precision in what you do goes up. So the environment, we work with precision. So all of our entire operational environment is computerized. Right? And all the meetings that we have are driven on our ERP system, meaning that we've got a dashboard, graph, report for every single parameter in the business. In fact, the one gentleman that was here early on is our head of IT. He's responsible for the development of that system. So we have very much an open environment where everyone knows what the numbers are, right? So what then happens is you have joint accountability. So our fortunes are married. Now, when you have that, you've got less of a confrontational work environment where people pull in different directions, but you actually have more alignment. And I think when you do that, and you do that well, you build an unbeatable culture. I don't think there's anything special about me as an individual. No. I don't think there's anything particularly special about any of the individuals that we have in the organization. But our combination, our collaboration, the way in which we work together, I think is what yields results. And I think for as long as we can maintain that, surely we should achieve our long-term goals.
Well, final question. What do you think South Africa needs to do, or South Africans need to do, to make the country work? Because we've got a whole range of economic challenges besides others.
Self-belief. You have to believe in yourself. I tell the story often. When we had this major breakthrough of making these electrostatic filters, it dawned on me that everybody who was working here, well, the majority of people that were working here, 99% black, educated in the public school system in South Africa. The whole 30% story that everyone laughs at, those are the people that work here. And those are the people who cracked this vexing problem at the height of COVID. So what it tells me is, for as long as we believe in ourselves, right, there's nothing we can't do. So I think we need to start there. And with that kind of orientation, then challenges become overcomable, I think.
Khomotso, thank you very much for talking to us.
Sure.